Plaintiff Clyde Williams says he and the defendant dated the same man. But Clyde never met the defendant in person until he came to Clyde's home and attacked him. Clyde claims the defendant assaulted him after overhearing a phone conversation between Clyde and his ex. So he's suing for medical bills and pain and suffering. Defendant Eric McKinney says Clyde does not have a grip on reality because he's a heavy drinker who's also addicted to crack. Eric claims on the day in question, Clyde instigated the fight by becoming aggressive with Eric and his boyfriend, and Eric simply fought back in self-defense. He's countersuing for pain and suffering.
Start with you.
Well, Your Honor, I don't know the defendant. Excuse me.
When's the first time you met him?
I met him the day that he assaulted me.
Okay. And when was that? What month and year?
This was on January the 7th, 2016.
All right. Tell me the circumstances upon which you all met.
Me and the defendant used to date the same young man at different points in times. We always kept a good relationship, good friendship. And he overheard a conversation that I was having on the phone with my ex-boyfriend. And I think he got a little bit jealous or something, and he ended up coming to my home.
How do you think he knew where you lived?
My ex-boyfriend brought him to my home.
Why? Just to prove that we're not dating, or?
I don't know if it was to prove that we're not dating, or I don't know if it was for a fight. I don't know what he came there for.
You hadn't done anything to the ex-boyfriend.
No, me and the ex-boyfriend probably had a slight argument.
Over the issue of a phone call?
Us being together, and the reason why we wasn't together, that's kind of what the argument was.
Now let's back up. You and your ex, his current, were on the phone. He overheard something he didn't like, and then he came to your house. Why?
I don't know if it was a point he had to prove. I don't know why.
And what happened?
Both of them came to my home. I was sitting home with a couple of friends, having a couple of drinks. And when I got to the door, me and the defendant, we started arguing at the door. One of my friends jumped in to defuse the situation, but as him diffusing the situation, he hit my friend and knocked him out. And then once he hit him, he hit me. And once I fell to the ground, I got kicked in the face. I don't know the defendant. Excuse me.
When's the first time you met him?
I met him the day that he assaulted me.
Plaintiff Clyde Williams says he and the defendant dated the same man, but Clyde never met the defendant in person until the day he came to Clyde's house and attacked him.
Sir, you give me some background.
Mr. Williams' perception of reality is distorted due to the fact that he abuses drugs and alcohol and has for quite a while.
What type of drugs?
Crack. Mr. Williams is aggressive,
Are you a crack
violent,
addict?
I've never
irrational,
seen crack,
and he does not show ownership for his own violent actions.
Okay, so tell me on the day in question, what happened?
On the day in question, he was actually blocked from calling my boyfriend at the time. He called via his cousin's phone. And I was the one on the phone.
You don't let your boyfriend answer the phone.
No, he handed it.
That's your program. If that's your program, and he goes with it.
Why do you want to talk to him?
Yeah, you screen your calls, all right? You got it going on.
He handed it to me because he did not recognize the number.
Okay.
So he wanted me to answer, which I put it on speaker.
So he has you as his assistant. Go ahead, I'm not gonna try to figure that out. All right, for some reason, you answered the phone.
Yeah, and at the time, when they were in a relationship, they were in a car wreck. And so years went by of litigation, and they finally both of them were paid off. He was calling to find out whether or not my boyfriend received his check. After the phone call, he wanted to stop by and pick up some belongings that he had, which was a Gucci bag and some other.
How long had he had those belongings? How long ago had he left them?
From my understanding, over a time period of a year.
He had the belongings for a year.
Yes.
And just coincidentally, when you all got off the phone with him, you said, oh, let's go get what you left over there a year ago.
Yeah, because when we started.
Right. So he said, let's go. I just got off the phone with him. But hey, You know, a year ago, I left my Gucci. Just dawned on me. So let's go over there now.
I mean,
And just so happened, a big fight ensues.
well,
But I'll let you tell me the rest. You decided to go by and pick up the Gucci that had been there for a year.
yes.
And what happened?
We went there. I was in the car. My boyfriend went to the door. When Mr. Williams noticed that I turned up the radio and I was inside the car,
Outside in the car.
yes, he started to get aggressive towards my boyfriend.
He said what?
I distinctively heard him say, "Why did you bring that?"
How could you hear if the music was blasting in the car?
Because I had when
turned it down when he started talking?
turned it up. When I initially turned it up, I turned it up too much, so I had lowered it.
Oh, okay. Just so happened. when the insult came, you lowered the music that had been too loud.
I
got it,
noticed-
sir. I'm repeating
I
what you're
noticed-
telling me. Okay, then what happened?
And I was observing their body language towards each other. And so my boyfriend did not back down. It's just not indicative
So
of
what
his
happened?
character.
I don't need to know
I
your
got out.
boyfriend's character
I
and
got
all
out.
that. I know what's happening. He didn't play both y'all. So let's get to what happened that day. I don't need to know about his character. I already know that. Go ahead.
I got out to retrieve my boyfriend and tell him that we'll go about getting his belongings some other type of way. At this point, Mr. Williams rushes towards me, like gets in my face to the point where we're bumping chests, proceeded to push me by the temple of my head, and I'm I'm a little flabbergasted because I mean I can't believe that somebody is actually putting their hands on me. Like, so, at first, I smacked his hand away.
Then the fight started.
The third time when I exerted myself and got louder and insulted him, he proceeded to take off his hoodie. When he did, I noticed that one pocket was weighed down. I heard like rumbling of metal, and I took the opportunity and I pushed him. When I pushed him,
Rumbling of metal.
yeah.
What do you think that?
To be
what do you
quite,
think that
quite
meant?
honest with you, like I've played with the idea in my head. I mean, it could have been keys and change.
Got it. Okay,
but
go ahead. You heard the rumbling of metal, and then what happened?
I pushed him. And when I pushed him, because he was
You
intoxicated,
pushed him, and what happened?
he fell. And
Was that?
he got back up and started to charge towards me. At that point, his heel hit his front toe, and he stumbled a little. And I took the opportunity and I
You kicked him. All right, and how did it end? That's how it ended?
He went unconscious at that point.
Okay, so it was over at that point.
Started arguing at the door. One of my friends jumped in to defuse the situation, but as him diffusing the situation, he hit my friend and knocked him out. And then once he hit him, he hit me.
Plaintiff Clyde Williams says he and the defendant dated the same man, but Clyde never met the defendant in person until the day he came to Clyde's house and attacked him.
Did you press charges against him?
He won.
So you did press
yes,
charges?
yes.
And you lost?
Yes.
And so now I have to decide who I believed. You pressed charges and he was exonerated. So you're trying to sue someone who was exonerated. However, that was a criminal case. You must prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Today, all you have to prove is more likely than not. It's less of a burden. So you have a police report that describes what happened. So far, my presumption is that he is not guilty. But you can provide me with enough information where I can make my own decision, despite what the criminal case ended up being. The defendant started a physical fight, altercation with the victim, which ended in the defendant rendering the victim unconscious. And this is your statement to the police? Yes. All right. Did he speak with the police anytime thereafter?
I have no idea.
Did you, sir?
I was arrested a week after that.
Okay, but you didn't give like a report or a statement to the police?
No.
Okay. You have any other evidence indicating that he might have been the aggressor? That's what I need. Who started it? That's what determines the outcome when there is a fight.
This is how.
The person who started it is the one who is guilty, unless the person being victimized had an opportunity to walk away and they didn't. They just said, well, I'm not going to walk away. Then you no longer are a victim of an aggressor. You are a mutual engaged fighter. And what is this and who is it from?
That's a statement of everything that took place on that day.
Who is this from?
From my niece.
She saw what went on?
No.
All right. Now, you have any other evidence of someone, independent evidence of someone who said he made the first strike? Anything showing that he was a threat?
No, all I have is my report that I wrote and my bills and pictures.
Okay, he's suing for pain and suffering for the same amount. So what happened to you that he should pay for?
30 minutes after this incident took place, I was at my boyfriend's house. He called his family members, informing them of my location, and eventually led to me being stabbed.
How do you know he
by
did?
his relative.
How do you know he called?
But with it, I mean, there was his cousins, and they just showed up.
They didn't know about you?
No,
They didn't know you existed?
Any one of them.
They didn't know you existed?
No.
Okay, so you tell me about that. Did your relatives who went to attack him know him at all to your knowledge?
No.
They didn't know him? You don't know whether they knew him?
No. Well, honestly, no, they didn't know him.
They didn't know him?
They didn't know him.
So what would cause them to go and attack a man they don't know?
They didn't attack. They didn't go and find him. What happened was the ex-boyfriend.
Did they go where he was?
No, they met up. Both parties met.
What
somewhere.
caused them to meet?
Because his ex-boyfriend text my family saying how I hadn't just got beat up and just got knocked out, and that's what started.
So his ex-boyfriend knew your family.
Yes.
Text them.
Yes.
And said something out of the way, slick. And so that's when your family say, well, let's go get the guy who beat you. You don't know what happened.
I don't know how.
All right. Is it true that your boyfriend texted his family?
No.
All right. Anyone have any evidence of that? Statement from a relative?
Your Honor.
What's that?
This is a statement. Actually, everything that took place.
Who is it from?
My niece Victoria.
Is she one of the relatives that he says came over there?
She was one of them.
Okay, there we go. On such and such, I received a text message at 3:55 saying, Clyde just got completely knocked out and left in front of his apartment by my boyfriend. So this is his boyfriend.
Yeah.
Texting your niece.
Because they was friends.
Your niece.
Yes.
All right. And as a result, your niece perhaps went over there to get him because of this text. That could be the case. All you know is you didn't do it.
Yeah.
All right. So your claim is dismissed. He did nothing. You haven't been able to prove he did anything to have his family come and whoop you. This shows that your boyfriend sent a text bragging about what you had done, and that's why they came. So I'm going to dismiss your claim. He had nothing to do with that. Sir, you lost that claim against him in criminal court, but additionally, you haven't given me any independent information that indicates that he was the aggressor. So I have to dismiss your claim. Stop fighting over me and have a good day.
Just glad this over. We can both go on. I can move on.
Nothing.